Ready to give your GNOME File Manager superpowers? Let's go. As an example of what you can do with GNOME File Manager, I'm going to show you 3 examples. The first has to do with deletion. So let's say I want to delete a file or files. I can select them, right-click, go to Move to Trash. The files have been moved to the trash folder. I can obviously empty the trash, etc. But what if I want to delete the files straight up, but I don't want to go through the intermediary of the trash? Well, this is the first extension. So if I select some files, right-click, there's this scripts submenu, and so I can click on that, and now there's a delete forever thing. I click on that, and it says, do you want to delete these files? Yes. And so if you look in here in trash, nothing's here. So that was the first thing. I can delete files directly without having to go through the trash. Next one has to do with videos. So here I'm in my videos folder, and if I wanted to view one, you can just click it like that, obviously. What if you wanted to view multiple videos at the same time? It's not something super common, but what if you wanted to do it? So I'm going to select, so let's say all these videos, right click, go to scripts. And now you can see there's this play with MPV. MPV, of course, is the viewer, the video viewer that I have. So play with MPV, what will happen if I do that? And you can see all of the videos are playing simultaneously. Once again, is it a super common scenario to play videos like this all at the same time? Probably not, but it's more just of an example of something you can do to extend this functionality. The last one is that I want to show is images. So if you go in here into images, here's a bunch of images. Say I wanted to make a collage or a montage of these images, okay? What you could do is you could select these, let's say these 6, right-click, go to Scripts, and there is an option here that says Make Montage. If I click that, you can see I got a notification right here. It says Montage Created. And then here is the actual montage itself. So those 6 files or 6 images that I'd selected, you can see they're right here in this one image. And it actually it created this folder right here called montage, and you can see there it is, and I can come back later and I can view that. I can do that again. Let's say I want to select these images, right click, scripts, make montage, wait a couple seconds, and there it is. And now that's there. So those are, and then of course that is inside of here. So those are some 3 examples of things you can do to extend the functionality of GNOME File Manager. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show you the code and show you how you can actually implement your own extensions. In order to extend the functionality of the GNOME File Manager, what you're going to have to do is there is a folder under your home.local share Nautilus scripts that you can drop some files into. And so if I go to my terminal, you can see here, this is my home directory, .local share Nautilus scripts. And you can see there's 3 files in here, make montage, play with MPV, and delete forever. And of course I used an emoji as well too. You can do that. I just did it to make it more obvious about what when I was deleting something. So anyway, I have these 3 files, and these files have to be executable. So if you were to do a long listing, you would see that it has the execute bit on each file. So you have to have a file in here or a script. And the script can be like a bash script, a Python script, a Perl script, whatever. It just has to be some sort of script, and it has to be executable. So as long as you have an executable script inside, like I said, the .local shared Nautilus scripts directory, and of course if that directory doesn't exist, you can just create it. So you'd create it and then put some scripts in there. So I'm going to show you, of course this video is not really about programming, but I'm just going to show you some scripts that I wrote and how I wrote it. So here, this is the delete forever script, and of course what it does is it deletes all those files when you right click. So how does this work? So I created this file, and I'm using this function Zenity this thing does the pop-up. So when you delete some files and it says, "Are you sure you want to do this?" That's what this is. It makes the pop-up. Of course, if you don't want the pop-up, you just want to delete stuff, then you would just remove it. But it says entity. This is the question. This is the text. This is the title, etc. And what it says is when this is finished, whatever you answer, it says this is the return value of this thing. It says if the return value of this question is not any means not equal to 1, what does that mean? That means like a 1, a 2, a 3, etc. Because 0 is successful. 0 means you did a yes, you press yes. If it's not 0, that means you press no. Okay. And so what it's doing is logging something out. So this logger thing allows you to log debugging information to /var/log/syslog. So it's really good for debugging purposes. And then it exits out. So if you press no, then it'll log something and it'll just exit this script. But if you press yes, then the rest of this script will execute. And what this does is there is a special variable that Nautilus or the GNOME File Manager will create for you. It's called Nautilus script selected file paths. So any file that you have selected in Nautilus. So let's say I'm here and I have these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 files selected. Those 5 file names, those will be inside this variable, okay? And so one file so this is a loop, right? So one file at a time will go in here. And so the first file, then the second file, then the third file, etc. And so all it's doing here is just logging out. It says, oh, file A was deleted, file B was deleted, file C was deleted, okay? And then, of course, right here, this is where all the action really is it will delete that file. So in a loop, it'll delete those files. And so that is what this script right here will do. The next one is play with MPV. Of course, it's very similar to delete forever. You can see it starts out with the bin bash header at the top. It's going to loop over all the files you have selected. So remember, what's going to happen here is you go to videos, right? You select some videos like this, and you say play with MPV, and they just pop up, right? So what it does here in Play with MPV is it says, oh, tell me all the files you have selected, loop through them, and then log it out. So once again, this is just for debugging purposes. Do you need this line? No. It just if something is going wrong with your script, it can help you kind of figure it out. So log it out, and then here's my MPV binary, and I just say, hey MPV, play this file, play this video file, and that's it. And then it just goes into a loop. And so once again, when I right click and I go scripts, play with MPV, this script right here will get executed. Lastly, the make montage script. That's the one where you have a bunch of files and you click on them and it will make a montage. So this is using image magic. And so I have my header here. And basically what this does is these are the files you have selected, right? The files you want to make a montage of. So let's say you want to do like these, whatever. You right click, scripts, make montage. So those files are inside of here. It gets inserted into this thing called files, which is a bash array. So in bash, there's just like in Python or other programming languages, there's a concept of an array. And so these things are going to go into we're going to create a new array called files, and all the names, the file names are going to go into that array. And then I'm going to print it. Before I was doing logger for like debugging information or logging or for logging, but you can also use echo or printf if you want to. So it'll still print everything to the var syslog file for debugging purposes. But you don't have to use logger if you don't want to. You can use, like I said, echo or printf. So what's happening here is this files array is getting created. I'm printing out to this thing. It says, oh, how many files did you have selected? And so the # in front of files basically means show me a count. So if it's 5, it'll say 5. And then after I do that, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab the first, 0 means the first file that you have selected. It's going to grab it, and it's going to say, what's your directory? What directory are you currently in right now? And then it adds on /montage onto the end of it, and that's your output directory. That's this. That's this directory. So it creates this directory right here, if it doesn't exist. And it's right here. This is the command that will actually make the directory. And you might be wondering, what if the directory already exists? No problem. It doesn't error or anything. And then I need my output file name. So the output file name is the output directory, which we already have here, /montage dash, and then basically today's date. And then it prints out that file name for debugging purposes. So you can see here, if I go into montage, see montage dash, and then you can see here's the date, which is what got created here. And then lastly, we just do the montage itself. So we use image magic, which is here. We say do a montage, and then these are the input files right here. When you say files, remember this is the array, and you do the @ symbol. Basically, it means these are all the files I want to go into my montage, i.e., this is the input, and then this is the output file right here that got created. Okay, so this is the input, this is the output, and then that's it. And then once it's done, what it'll do is it'll do a notify send. That's this up here where it notifies you. And it'll say, hey, montage was created with this file name. And of course, you can see that here. Montage created, and here's the file name. And then what it'll do is it'll actually open it up so you can see it instantly. So it'll use XTG open, which what it'll do is it'll open up your default image viewer and show you that file. Okay? And so, yeah, so that's basically it. So these are just 3 scripts that I created to extend the functionality of the GNOME File Manager. But you could add on tens, hundreds, thousands, I don't know, whatever you want. You could add as many scripts as you want to like send something to AI, do some data analysis, move files to another location. Like the options are endless. So the purpose of this video was just to give you some ideas how you could make your own scripts to do your own things. And so you don't have to use whatever functionality came with this file manager. You can add infinite amounts of extensibility just by adding your scripts, and then under your scripts folder, your menu, you'll see everything that you have created right here. All right, that's it.